In other news, a rhinoceros has left the building.
I've spent my last 25 years in public service of one kind or another. At the end of another term, I'd be in my mid-80s. Frankly, it's time for a new generation of leaders. They're the ones that need to make the decisions that will shape the world they will be living in. Now, we face critical challenges: mounting national debt, climate change, and the ambitious authoritarians of Russia and China. Neither President Biden nor former President Trump are leading their party to confront those issues. On deficits and debt, both men refuse to address entitlements, even though they know that this represents 2/3 of federal spending. Donald Trump calls global warming a hoax, and President Biden offers feel-good solutions that make no difference to the global climate. On China, President Biden underinvests in the military, and President Trump underinvests in our alliances. Political motivations too often impede the solutions that these challenges demand. The next generation of leaders must take America to the next stage of global leadership. While I'm not running for re-election, I'm not retiring from the fight. I'll be your United States Senator until January of 2025. I will keep working on these and other issues, and I'll advance our state's numerous priorities. I look forward to working with you and with folks across our state and nation in that endeavor. It really is a profound honor to serve Utah and the country, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
And there you have it. Mitt Romney is finally exiting the building, but not without harsh words for both of the leading party figures. That video was posted for Utahns, Romney's constituents, but he hasn't always been in Utah as their senator. He has since about 2019, but he was born in Michigan in 1947. He's a lifelong Mormon, which is the primary reason for his time in Utah. He graduated from Brigham Young in 1971 and got a degree from Harvard in 1975. He found a job in Boston, but eventually becomes the Republican nominee to run against Ted Kennedy for Senate in 1994, which he lost. He was elected governor of Massachusetts in 2002. He ran for president in 2008 and lost the primary nomination to John McCain. Then he ran again in 2012, but lost that election, giving us all 4 more years of President Obama. His voting record has been atrocious, especially in regard to liberty. The Heritage Foundation gives politicians a score and a rating on how they've voted in Congress, and Romney's lifetime score is a 58, like out of 100, 100 being the ultimate freedom-loving, liberty-voting American. Romney has a 58. Just a few examples. In 2016, he chose not to support Trump in the general election. He did the same thing in 2020, so he never voted for Donald Trump. That year, he voted for the $1.4 trillion omnibus bill and another $900 billion for COVID relief. In 2021, he voted for the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Now, all of these massive legislative creations of pretend dollars are crippling the economy right now and for future generations. And I forgot to mention it in 2020, Romney marched with BLM protesters after the overdose of George Floyd. In 2021, he also voted to confirm Alejandro Mayorkas to lead DHS, who we talked about earlier. In 2022, Romney voted for the Respect for Marriage Act, which was an oxymoron, and it created national policy in favor of same-sex marriage. He voted to confirm woke Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson. This was the woman who couldn't define what a woman was when pressed by Marsha Blackburn. And surprisingly, Romney had this to say about Biden's impeachment.
The grave question the Constitution tasks senators to answer is whether the president committed an act so extreme and egregious that it rises to the level of a high crime and misdemeanor. Yes, he did. The president asked a foreign government to investigate his political rival. The president withheld vital military funds from that government to press it to do so. The president delayed funds for an American ally at war with Russian invaders. The president's purpose was personal and political. Accordingly, the president is guilty of an appalling abuse of public trust. What he did was not perfect. No, it was a flagrant assault on our electoral rights, our national security, and our fundamental values. Corrupting an election to keep oneself in office is perhaps the most abusive and destructive violation of one's oath of office that I can imagine.
Oh, hang on a second. That was actually the wrong clip. That's what Romney said when he was the only Republican, again, the only Republican voting to convict Trump of the impeachment charges in 2020. I'm sorry. But we also can't forget that he voted to impeach him again in 2021. But this is what he had to say when he was asked about Biden's impeachment inquiry.
I know the House is beginning an impeachment inquiry. I haven't heard any allegation of something that would rise to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor. I think it'd be very unusual to actually see a referral of impeachment. I don't expect that to happen. They can inquire and see if there's evidence that shows something else. I don't think they'll find that. I don't know. But there's been no allegation of that. And any hint of that has been denied by the president. So I'm not expecting that to occur.
You see, I don't believe in this cultural and political day and age that there is any such thing as centrism or to be moderate on the issues we've covered. You're either conservative or you're liberal. There's no middle ground there. And we're either trying to safeguard the sacred or we're trying to forsake and destroy them. So when we label someone a rhino or a Republican in name only, Romney has been the perfect embodiment of that. The charges which he chose to convict Trump on are the exact same things that Biden is guilty of, yet Romney sees no issues this time around. But when you add to this double standard of justice the support for radical spending, racial wokeness, and attacks on marriage, I say this with the most respect that I can muster to Mr. Romney. Good riddance, and you will not be missed. As a Christian, there's nothing wrong. In fact, there's everything good about swearing allegiance to the American flag. Why is that? Because of the virtues of which the flag flies. It speaks to our providential founding and has been, for nearly 200 years, a symbol of freedom to those who seek it. You can fly the American flag with pride from your front porch or out in the front yard. You can even hang one on the wall in the house or the garage, the office, or wherever you wish. I recommend getting a flag that will last and withstand the weather throughout the seasonal changes of the year. So, check out the flag supplies at Allegiance Flags. Check the link in the show notes or go over to WeTheFreeShow.com for more. Military and first responders get 10% off your order.